before I share the list to you guys, I think it will be better if we briefly go through this video's scope first. There are already plenty of annoyingly overused tropes under the romance genre alone. What I'll share in this video will be applicable to romance webtoons on either the modern or fantasy setting. I also see them applicable to series with LGBTQ+ relationships. You just replace the female lead with another guy or a binary person or something. In case you don't know, webtoons normally refer to webcomics that are designed to be read using your phone. So although the tropes I'll mention may also be observed in other media like anime and novels, this video will focus more on what appears to be very common on webtoons. These webtoons could have originated from South Korea, or from mainland China, or from Japan, or they could already be in English from the beginning. Lastly, please note that the webtoon titles or characters that were shown in the intro and will be shown later aren't necessarily bad examples. They could be series that I actually love a lot and highly recommend to you guys, but they just happen to have that trope too. After all, there's nothing wrong with tropes as long as they are used well, or at least the trope just helped in making the series more entertaining. But it can also be the other way around. I mean, I might have shown that this particular character or series had defied the trope, but overall, its writing still sucks. So in other words, this is not a direct recommendation video. Just take note of that so you won't misinterpret what you see. Alright, without further ado, we'll start with number 1, which I often see being complained about by a lot of fellow readers. And I'm talking about love triangles. Leveled up love triangles would be the reverse harem, wherein there are more than 2 guys in love with the same girl. In a romance-centric series, usually a love triangle is between 2 guys and 1 girl, or 3 guys, or 3 girls. Very rare do I see a mix, wherein a guy and someone from the LGBTQ+ community are in love with the same girl. Sometimes, the love triangle is more like a love line, as in, we have the male lead in love with the female lead, but the female lead has a crush on another guy who is usually the second male lead. Anyway, a love triangle is usually used in a series to provide some conflict or drama in the story. It's a little frustrating when a series was doing fine without it, then puts a love triangle all of a sudden. Love triangles are oftentimes pointless, especially when you already know who the main character is going to end up with anyway. So, the second male lead is either going to be stuck to his one-sided crush for a long time, or they will move on. They may even cheer for the male lead. But usually in a love triangle, the one at the center has great difficulty in choosing, especially if they initially had no interest in romance in the first place. There are webtoons wherein the reader is being teased to guess which of the candidates the female lead is going to end up with. Of course, it could be more than 2 guys. I suppose it's fine if there are reasons or circumstances on why she had trouble choosing. But it's really annoying when she already chose someone but cannot remember who he is. Wait, there's something more annoying than that one. It's when she chooses the toxic male lead over the more caring alternative. Just why? Another frustrating thing is when a female character who is in love with the male lead would bully the female lead out of jealousy. So it's a relief when the female lead can talk back against such people and doesn't need the male lead to handle the situation. Thus, if the love triangle is handled well, there will be less headaches at least when reading the webtoon. There are other ways to have drama and conflict in a story, not just love triangles. But sadly, oftentimes, at the center of that love triangle is number 2, who is the dense or naive or annoyingly stupid female lead. This may be applicable even to male leads, But in a romance series, this is sickeningly more prevalent to female leads. Everyone already knows that a guy is madly in love with her since it's freaking obvious, but she is still unbelievably clueless about it. That kind of guy is oftentimes a childhood friend whom she had friend-zoned for years. I suppose it's fine if there is some explanation on why she could not notice the male lead's feelings. There are cases wherein the female lead is distracted with other problems such as self-love for her to notice romantic interest towards her. And I guess being dense and naive will be somewhat acceptable if they are not used to such attraction due to their appearance or past experiences. But of course, they shouldn't stay that way. The series should give us some character development. If they remain pretty much the same, even after like 100 episodes already, that's an absolute shame. And it would really hurt if that girl still sticks to the guy who is clearly a red flag, much more if she is already warned about it. But sadly, many of these blind and clueless female leads are also the damsels in distress types. It kinda hurts when the female lead is portrayed as someone overpowered, yet they still end up always needing to be rescued by her Prince Charming anyway. Shockingly, these Mary Sue-ish girls easily get into life-threatening situations even in the modern world. Some of them even get involved in toxic relationships, could be with an ex, family, or friend. Of course, the male lead will be the only one who can understand and save her. It hurts my brain the most if they are supposed to be the intelligent type, yet they do really stupid or immature things. But don't worry, some of those characters who appear dense or naive are actually more of the pure or innocent type. We love strong characters, but a character that is too much can be unremarkable. I'm talking about the usual love interests of the female lead in number 2. So for number 3, we have the flawless male lead, also known as Mr. Perfect. They are good-looking, usually very wealthy, and excels in so many things, if not everything. And they're most likely going to fall in love with the female lead who thinks she's just plain or ordinary. But of course, since she's the protagonist, there's gonna be something different about her that will get the attention of Mr. Perfect. In a fantasy world, that kind of male lead would usually be either a prince, an emperor, a duke, or other nobles with a high position. If not an aristocrat, he'll most likely be some overpowered knight or soldier, usually in a high position too, or he is the ace of the team at least. If in the modern world, he's usually the CEO or president of a company, or any other high position too, like a team leader. If it's in a school setting, he will be the most popular guy in school, top of the class, and excellent in almost any sport. Bonus points if he is also the student council president. Mr. Perfect could also be someone who does illegal stuff. You know, the bad boy type. But he is definitely someone hot and can fight well. Some of them are even demons. Like literally. If in a medieval setting, the cruel yet flawless male lead will usually be what's considered a tyrant. Creators oftentimes make the male lead emotionally broken for the sake of having some sort of flaw. But sometimes the flaw that they have is something ridiculous, like not being attracted to women, for example. Anyway, it will be very nice to see a male lead who is very different from the stereotypical handsome love interest. He could be someone who finds himself monstrous despite being handsome. Actually, he doesn't even have to be handsome in the first place. And he doesn't need to have a flashy occupation. It's not often that you get to see a male lead who has an ordinary middle-class job. A romance webtoon doesn't always have to be a Cinderella type of story as well. So, it will be nice to occasionally see a male lead who is not rich for a change. He could even be someone who is being underestimated, but actually pretty cool if you get to know him better. Even someone who is a chaebol or conglomerate heir can be underestimated despite his wealth and good looks. A wealthy, handsome guy doesn't necessarily need to have a lot of admirers. I suppose a male lead having many admirers will be normal if he was a celebrity, but it's better if he only appears flawless when on camera. It will be interesting if his flaw is something normal or totally unexpected from a male lead, like this model, who acts like an idiot and is called a poophead. There might be a lot of male leads who are annoyingly perfect in plenty of webtoons, but of course, if you look hard enough, you can find some male leads who are quite different from the usual. Number 4 often happens because of the stupidity of the female leads from number 2 or because the male leads from number 3 are not very open, and I'm talking about misunderstandings. Most of the drama that we will see in a romance webtoon series are due to misunderstanding. Sample situations include one of the main characters coincidentally overhears a rumor about his or her love interest, then becomes awkward with the involved person without explaining why. Another is when one of the main characters gets jealous thinking that they're flirting with another guy or girl. They assume too fast since they have trust issues. Yet another is when the female lead thinks her husband never cared for her, blaming him for many things until her last breath. And you know what? Most of them can be resolved if only they don't quickly assume things and have communication. But apparently, for some reason, they find it so difficult to talk things out. Oh well, I guess if the misunderstandings are to the extremes, like to the point they are more like a parody and have become very amusing, then that's pretty fun. And don't fret, although quite few, there are a number of webtoons which have characters that don't take too long in trying to communicate their concerns. So, they have a mutual understanding after they talk things out. But if the other party doesn't know how to listen, well, that's a different issue. Last but not the least, there's this trope which we often see on series with regressions. And it's when they only realize things after death. I'm sure you have heard of a female lead finding out that her fiancé was cheating on her, but it's kind of more frustrating if she only figures that out when she's about to die. There are cases wherein she somehow ended up with her beloved, but he turns out to be an abusive husband. She endured everything until she died. Sometimes it's the opposite. While she is too distracted with her insecurities and unfortunate situation, she never realized how much her husband cherished her until she died. It's not only between lovers though. She could have been a relative of the victim, or she was betrayed by her own relative, whom she trusted too much. Most likely, she has also been the type who was abused, betrayed, falsely accused, and other sorts of negative experiences. Then at the beginning of the series, she is about to be executed for the things she didn't do. It is after death when she learns how she could get away from her situation, know who to trust, and who to get rid of. I suppose it's a little understandable if they were still children when the tragedy started. They're still helpless and still not familiar with a lot of things. A mature woman who transmigrated into a child's body wouldn't be that helpful either if they are not familiar with the world they got dragged into against her will. It's also a little understandable when a woman was taken advantage of during the time she was emotionally unstable. But they don't necessarily have to get that second chance only after death, right? There are other forms of death and other ways to revive. Well, although few, there are quite a number of female leads who learn from their experience and work hard to have a better life without needing a second life. Anyway, how about you? What do you think about the tropes shared in the list? What other webtoon tropes that you have noticed to have been used too much that it makes you cringe? It doesn't have to be under the romance genre. I could already think of a lot under the action genre. Please share in the comments as they can be considered in the next video. And for you to be notified of more videos like this one, then I suggest that you click the subscribe button. As always, likes, shares, and comments will be highly appreciated. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Bye!